All right, greetings everybody, and welcome to week number 13. That is right, week number 13 of your 7314 class, which is your reference class. As always, I'm your professor, Dr. J.S.K. Austin, and you are on the home stretch. So we are going to do a state of the course update, and then we are going to look at Chilton's real quick. I'm going to give you a brief overview of that. That is a public library database that you're not going to find at academic libraries, unless maybe some community colleges. You're not going to find it in K-12. This is public libraries only, but it's still something that is good to know. And we will do a brief overview and intro to Chilton's. And yeah, that will be it. This check-in video should probably be 25 minutes at the most unsped. So it'll be 20 minutes sped up. But there is some state of the course stuff that I do need to get out of the way. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then we will talk about that database. So let's get into it, pals. All right, so first things first, I do want to, and I've already sent an announcement about this and everything, but this is the most pressing thing for State of the Course. Please, if you may have your LibGuide password protected or contents within your LibGuide password protected, please remove those protections. I cannot grade what I cannot see. Okay, so you can put them back once you get the grade, but the LibGuide is something that I can actually probably grade pretty quickly. I know it took a long time for you to get your Wikipedia edit assignments back, but that was because there were so many things going on during that time period that took my attention away from grading, and a lot of those things are done. Most of my advising is done because most people have registered for classes. The admissions is already done. The e-portfolios are done. So those things that were also demanding my attention during the grading period for the Wikipedia edit assignment, those things are no longer in play. So I have already graded, I believe, 8 LibGuides, okay? And they were just due this past Sunday. I am trying to have them all graded by a week from today. So that would be April the 28th of 2026. I'm trying to have everybody's LibGuide in both sections. I'm trying to have everybody's LibGuide graded by then. So you will get those back in less than 2 weeks after you turn them in. However, I need your cooperation. Please do not password protect them until they are graded. And then you can password protect whatever after they are graded, okay? But work with me there. And, you know, if you work with me, I can work with you, because this is the assignment that has the most points associated with it. So I know you all want these grades back quickly. I can get them back quickly, but you got to work with me first, okay? All right, so aside from that, let's talk about the LibGuides a little bit. Specifically, let's talk about the LibGuide rubric, because I do want to let you all in on what awaits you as far as the LibGuide rubric and what you can expect from your grades. What I want you all to know now, and again, I couldn't tell you this, I had mentioned this in a previous check-in video, but I couldn't tell you all this really until after the LibGuides were turned in. But now that they're turned in, I can share this information. So what is ahead of you when it comes to the LibGuide grades is that I do want you all to know that for the most part, now, unfortunately, this hasn't really panned out this semester the way it usually does. But for the most part, pretty much everybody is going to get, I shouldn't say pretty much everybody, but the overwhelming majority of you are going to probably get at least a 21 out of 25. Again, it has not been panning out that way completely this semester. There's been, I'll admit it, and this is not a scold of you, and it's not a knock on you all, but, you know, if I'm just going to be honest with you, there has been a little bit of a decline in the quality of the LibGuides this semester. And I'm not exactly sure what the cause of that is, but I am going to, after I talk about this, I'm going to circle back to the Wikipedia edit assignments, and I'm going to give you all some guidance going forward. But what I do want, because I'm not here to scold. First of all, you all are adults, and then second of all, I actually do care about you. So it's not that I'm here to scold. I am actually trying to get us to the point where there's some improvement, where there is, I want you all to feel that there's care with what I'm going to say, but also know that there's going to be accountability with what I say as well. But having said that, when it comes to the LibGuide and the rubric, what I want you all to know is that there are some fail-safes that are in place, okay? And these are things that, even though I'm evaluating you on professional standards, what I want you all to realize is that there are fail-safes in the rubric that kind of are there to keep your grades up at a certain level. So at least in the past, and again, I'm seeing some things that are a little different this semester, and I'm gonna talk about a little bit more when I get to the Wikipedia edit assignment and talking about that a little bit. But there are certain things that pretty much everybody gets the point. Um, so like for instance, target audience, pretty much everybody gets the full point there. Um, the briefly described sentences, unless you just totally ignored what you saw in the rubric or didn't look at the rubric, pretty much everybody gets the points there. Pretty much everybody gets these points here. This point as far as awareness of the source, people pretty much get that. Um, it's very uncommon for people to have grammatical or style errors in the LibGuide assignment, so they get that point. And then as long as you as long as you do the video tutorial and it really is a tutorial, then a lot of times that's 8 points right there. And then most people, the overwhelming majority of people, do keep it at least within the grace period. Okay, and so they get those 3 points as well. Assignment instructions followed. So because there are basically elements to the rubric that end up being basically guaranteed points, a lot of times people just automatically get those points. Okay, and then some of the things that they end up, some people will get docked on, for instance, is, okay, they don't have enough sources, they didn't have the ISBNs or call numbers or URLs, they didn't get the source types, that sort of thing. But it's most of the things people actually do get the full points for, and then there are a few things where people might get docked points. So usually people don't get docked more than 4 points. And if you get a 21 out of 25, that's an 84, that's a B, that's actually doing well. And as long as you did well with all your other assignments in the class, that sets you up for getting an A in the class. So there is a method to my madness. Now, one thing that I'm going to say, I repeat, do not share this information with people who haven't taken this class yet, because if that gets out and I see a decrease in LibGuide quality because of that, then I'm going to go back and I'm going to have to change my method. But what I like to do is, once everybody has actually done the LibGuide, I like to say, hey, yeah, I know it might have been a stressful assignment, but at the end of the day, you are going to probably get at least a 21 on this anyway. Now, again, I've had a few that were below the 21, and that is a little disappointing, but what I am going to say is I also have more reference students this semester. Usually I only have one section. This time I have two. So I have more reference students than I usually do. And so hopefully the only reason why I'm having a little bit more people who are getting below the 21 is because I am dealing with a larger number of students anyway. That is my hope. But yes, what I want you all to take away from this is that if you get at least a 21 on the LibGuide assignment, then you've actually done a pretty good job, okay? And you are still, as long as you've done really good elsewhere, you are on your way toward getting an A. So take that for what it is, but I don't want you all to stress out. Again, I'm going to try to get these LibGuides graded and back to you as soon as I possibly can. All right, other things that stated the course. Now, having said what I just said, folks, I say this with love. Again, this is not to scold. I'm talking to you as adults. I see you all as adults. I respect you all as adults. And again, I like y'all. I really do. I like y'all, and I hope you like me. You may or may not, but I do hope you like me, and I hope that we will have, I hope you will take other classes with me going forward, and I hope that we will have a positive relationship going forward. But what I'm going to drop on you right now is a little bit of tough love as well. So here's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to go back to the Wikipedia edit assignment to say this. Let me be clear that the reason I'm saying this is because I do care about you all, and I want y'all to be as successful in this program as you can possibly be. One thing that is going to ensure your success in this program, and one thing that you've got to do, and this is Dr. J's giving some tough love. Now, if you've been through something like either having a harsh parent, or if you've been in the military, which some of you are vets and that sort of thing, then this is not going to feel like tough love. Those of you who have been through those types of backgrounds, you're about to look at this and then say, hey, that was not tough love, what's going on? But you do have to handle library people with a gentleness, and I've known that for a long time, and so that's something that I do. I'm very gentle with my library folks because there's some there is some prevalent sensitivity there. There also, just out of respect, there are, and I'm neurodivergent myself, so there are a lot of librarians who are neurodivergent in one way or another. And so, this is you have to have some understanding and some empathy. So this is tough love coming from Dr. Jace, but what I want to tell you all is I know it took a long time for me to get your Wikipedia edit assignments back to you, but one thing that I want you to understand is that there were a lot of people, a lot more than usual. There were a lot of students who were not following the directions of the prompt or the rubric and got docked points for that. And especially when it came to including screenshots, there were a lot of people who did not include screenshots. And that's the thing. The rubric says screenshots included, and then it also tells you in the prompt to include screenshots. Let me find that. So there we go. Yeah, screenshots there. So, and again, I'm not saying this to scold you. I don't want you all to come back and say, well, it felt like he was scolding us and it felt like he was being hard on us. That is not what's going on. But what I want to tell you all is that both in this program and then also throughout your librarian careers, I want you all to understand that you're going to have more success when you are actually reading directions carefully and following directions and paying attention to detail. Okay. And so when I had so many people, for instance, not doing the screenshots and that sort of thing, when they turned in the assignment, it was like, okay, these are people who are not actually, these students are not actually following the directions. They're not paying close enough attention to instructions, and it's costing them. And that's one thing that I don't want. Because you are going to, a lot of you are are in the beginning stages of this program, first semester, second or third semester. And so I do want you all to know that if you want maximum success in this program, then yes, that is going to mean following directions, paying attention to directions, paying attention to details, and don't be afraid to ask questions. We as instructors, if something is unclear, then we as instructors, we are here. It is our job and our duty to ask your questions, to answer your questions, I'm sorry, in order for you to have success, okay? And so I just want you all to just, if you're the type of person who doesn't pay attention to instructions or you don't look at the rubrics very closely before turning in assignments, I'm going to challenge you all to change that, because changing that and improving in that area, that is how you are going to become more successful in your program, in this program going forward. And that is also what's going to help you be successful in your librarianship career. There are going to be some bosses out there, I promise you, who are going to come down hard on you. They're not going to be speaking to you with a soft voice and an empathetic tone the way I am. When you don't follow directions, they're going to come down hard on you. And the same with patrons. If you're an archivist, the same thing with people who are donating collections and that sort of thing. You have to follow directions. You have to know what's expected of you. You have to ask questions and get clarity when you are unsure about things, okay? And I think that for the most part, you all do that, but clearly there were some things that were lacking. And so what I wanted to do was challenge you all to, again, just pay more attention to directions, pay more attention to detail, pay more attention to these rubrics. And that's how you're going to maximize your success in this program. Because if it were up to me, and I know some of you probably don't believe this, but it's true. If it were up to me, every last one of my students would get an A. But I have to grade you all honestly. And then also, that's the thing with employers. If employers start seeing that, hey, we're just a diploma mill and we give everybody A's, and then these employers start hiring people from our program, and then they're like, oh, these people are awful, then that's when the program fails. And so I have to provide a bit of integrity for the program, okay? All right, so enough about that, because I don't want to make this video too long, but yeah, just keep those things in mind. And from here, the only other elements that I want you all to know when it comes to state of the course, we've got two things going on. Discussion board number 7 is due on May the 3rd, so that's not due yet. So you can take a breather and kind of, recover from the LibGuide, but still be working on that semester-long project. And then, yes, the The discussion board prompt number 7 will be due in a couple weeks here. And then from there, the semester-long project will be due on May the 8th, okay? And I did see a question in, I saw a question in section 1 related to the semester-long project, and I answered that. And yes, so if you've got questions, just ask your questions. I encourage you all to ask your questions because that's another way to ensure your success. All right, that's the end of the state of the course update. Let's now get into the Chilton's database. All right, friends, so let's take a really quick look at Chilton's library here. And the Chilton library, for those of you who, a lot of you are probably familiar with those big old auto repair manual books. Those are called Chilton books. They're usually the ones that are put out, like if you go to AutoZone and Advanced Auto Parts and those places, the books that they sell are typically the ones that are put out by Chilton, or they might have a manufacturer's own manual or something like that. But the Chilton database, this is something good for you all to know in general anyway. The Chilton database is something that you can use in order to guide yourself through repair, or guide patrons through repair. Well, you're not going to guide the patrons through repair, let me rephrase that. But if the patrons come in and they say, hey, I need to know this type of information about this certain vehicle and that sort of thing, then Chilton is where you're going to want to go. And in the public library, you will have that. A lot of times, hopefully, you might have an actual collection of Chilton manuals. A lot of libraries do. And that way, if you have the make and model that the patron needs, you can just go ahead and refer the patron to that. And that's probably what's going to be the most desirable thing, to actually have the book, the paper in hand. But if you don't have that and people are coming in and they're saying, I need such and such for auto repair, then this is one of the things that you have at your disposal to refer them to. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to again give a little brief overview, and yeah, we will go from there. Hold on one moment. All right, so let's go ahead and get in here and let's just show you a few things. First of all, you will get your main options by putting in your year, make, and model. And again, if you want to actually get good at this database, and what you need to do is watch some tutorials and practice on your own. But I am giving you just kind of a superficial overview. So I'll tell you what Dr. Jace drives. I am a humble man with a humble vehicle. I drive a 2014 Subaru Forester. And if I put that information in, here is what comes up. So mainly what people are going to be looking for, now you do have these options up here, and I'll briefly take you to those, but mainly what people want is the repair, maintenance, and recall information on a particular vehicle. So let's say that I have put this in, and let's say that I need it to do, actually let me, I'm gonna, hold on for a second. Okay, yeah, sorry, Dr. Jace did not want to waste time in the video, so I wanted to check and make sure that this model of car had something, because I had a different model of car the last time that I did this, and I was finally able, that car was a piece of trash. It was actually a 2014 Nissan Altima, and that thing sucked, and I was finally able to just donate that thing to charity, and my Subaru Forester works much better. But having said that, yes, I do have the option here, so you can go into these various things and get these little diagrams. So like if you wanted to, when you're at repair, if you wanted some diagrams related to brake repair, you could come to this, and let's say you had front disc rotor, that's a big one. Installation. Okay. There you go. And you would have like these different little things right here that, again, a mechanic would have to know better than me exactly how to use this information. But here is where Chilton's really shines. It's not actually getting this information through the database. And if people can use that information in the database, like these diagrams and these little things that pop up there, all the more power to them. But here is where this really shines for a lot of people, and that's the having the access to the owner's manuals. And I was just making sure that I was going to have that here. So, I did that kind of fast, actually. Let me go back. Let me see here. Okay, so I can go to owner's manuals, and then I can go to owner manual here. There are some different other little guides and things like that here. And you can play around with that on your own, but for the sake of trying to not make this video too long, what I can do is I can go to owner's manual, and then I can just click this PDF, And now I've got the full text of the owner's manual in my as a PDF that I can download. And in fact, I am going to download it because this is the car I have now, so why not? So yeah, so I say that to say that yeah, once you do that, then that actually takes care of a lot of people's concerns, that they can actually get that owner's manual, then they are on their way. However, you know, there are other things that you can do. Not just when it comes to repair, but one of the other helpful things that Chilton's is really known for and really helpful for is scheduled maintenance. So let's say that, again, I've got this 2014 Subaru here. Let me, I'm going to put in what I think I've got here. Yeah, wagon and standard. Okay. So yes, and so once you put in the criteria for your vehicle, then you can put in a mileage, and with the mileage, you can see exactly what needs to be done at these different intervals. So every 7,500 miles under normal conditions, I should replace my air conditioning. I should filter. I should repair my replace. Sorry, my engine oil and filter, which I do that every 3,000 miles really anyway. But yes, that's definitely something that's at your 7,500 interval. Tire rotation, and then these are some other things that they recommend potentially replace coolant after the first 11 years or so. All right, now, and then, and you can enter different things here. So if I do 3,000, I think the only thing that might pop up is that engine oil. Let me see. Hey, what happened? Okay, well, now that's just being funny. Okay. Um, so I guess maybe the minor stuff, maybe they're just not doing it. It looks like 7,500 is, because when I had that Nissan, it actually did have like 3,000, after 3,000 miles, do this, do that. This is doing recommendations and guidance after every 7,500 miles, and then 15,000 miles, and then 225, well, 22,500 miles. So these are kind of more further in between, as you can see here. But it is saying after 15,000 miles, go ahead and get all these various things done. To be quite honest, you're probably doing those things here and there a little bit as things just start to wear on your vehicle, and that is okay too. But yeah, you do. It is good to have all these various things going on. Oh, okay. All right. Dr. Jace was kind of looking at that. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah. So this is what you do after. Okay, I was doing that a little wrong. So this is what you do after you put 7,500 miles on the vehicle. This is what you do after putting 15,000 miles on the vehicle and that sort of thing. So, okay, I was looking at that a little wrong. And then, like, of course, once you get to, like, now I remember, and I'm sorry for that mistake. So yeah, I remember the Nissan had things that I had to do every 3,000, every 6,000, every 9,000. It was in a lot more detail. And then I had like a 100,000. So this goes from at the 7,500 mile marker, mile thing, to the 15,000 mile measurement, and it doesn't have anything for 100,000. Well, not there, but as you can see as we go up, okay, now it's making more sense. So it's probably going to have a whole bunch of stuff once we get to 100,000, and I just put 100,000 on mine. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. And then there is a chart here. So once you get to certain mileage intervals, this is what it's recommending you do from there. Okay. So there you go, and I apologize for the confusion there, but yeah, so once you get to, in 7,500 miles, that's not a lot. So, with this particular vehicle, it's giving me guidance on what to do from the 7,500 mile mark and then on. But yeah, vehicles, once they get, as you all already know, because I don't know anything about cars, but as you all already know, once you get to 100,000 miles, that's when a lot of things really start to kick in. But yeah, if you bought it brand new or you bought it with 0 miles, then after 7,500 miles, you do this. After 15,000, you do this, and up and up and up until you get to 100,000 miles and beyond. And then there are recall things that come out. I don't even put in the advanced search criteria for the recalls because hopefully your car isn't going to have too many of these. But what you'll see is different recalls are going to come out on different things at certain times. And if you have a particular problem area within your car, then that's when you might want to do the advanced search or the keyword search. But really, for the most part, you can just get the, and you'll see even with my car being a model that is over 10 years old. It's a 12-year-old model, but still, they had recall information as recently, for parts as recently as May of 2024. And when you need that information, what you can do is just go ahead and click that PDF. And again, it just downloads. It tells you what needs to be recalled. And so this was, yeah, the 2012 to 2021 Foresters. So this covered Foresters for several different years and what needed to be done. And you can have that fixed. I would recommend you potentially reach out to a dealership if it's something related to a recall. Okay, and then after that, I'm not going to go into the bin decoder, but I do just want you all to kind of be aware that these little things exist as well. So there are videos about, let me see if there is like an air conditioning recharge vehicle, because I had just done an air conditioning recharge on mine. Let's see. So if I click, now you can find a lot of these sorts of things on YouTube as well, but let me pause while this is doing. All right, well, I honestly didn't like what they had for air conditioning recharge. I found something much better on YouTube, just to be honest with you, but let's go ahead and just look at this real quick. So
installation of the brakes is done in the reverse order of disassembly with a few
yeah,
notable
you can just
extra
click on a
steps.
video and it'll introduce you. It's basically, a lot of it's pretty superficial, and it just kind of gets you the nuts and bolts or the very superficial information on some sort of routine maintenance or routine repair. But I will say I do recommend at this point that you find just a reliable YouTube channel when it comes to auto repair if you're looking for like tutorials and step-by-step instructions on how to change something. Okay, and then it's also pretty cool that you can have these quizzes here. You can just take these quizzes, and these are for, you know, just preparing for technician test prep and that sort of thing. I'm just going to go ahead and just blah, blah, blah on these. I'm not looking for a good score. I'm just going to show you this and just show you how it works. So you can take the test, select all these different things, and boom, boom, boom. Oh, boom. And gotta. Don't. And then you can submit the quiz, and so it says that not attempted, I have 0, so I supply the answer to everything, and I got a score of 13, but then it will also give you the correct answer. So you can do the practice quizzes and that sort of thing and brush up on your skills if you're actually trying to get some sort of technician certification, or if you're just trying to increase your knowledge. So there you go. All right, the second video was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but that was because I did have a lot of things that I wanted to say with state of the course and just encouraging you all to just make some improvements and some adjustments in order to do better and have continued success in the program. And I think you all are going to do it. So with that said, let's leave it there. I am Dr. Jace, and don't be intimidated when a professor tries to get you to do a little better, because you do belong in this place. Jace Place got my rhyme. I can move on with my day. You all take care. And again, I do care about you. Please don't forget that.